you just realize you have to be on the right side of history today. And you think about Dr. King, who talked about drum majors for justice. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the band. These are the drum majors for justice that have joined me here on the stage today. So thank you for being here. And I just want to give you a little bit of insights onto why this is so important to me personally. As New Yorkers start to get to know me better, it's been 3 weeks on the job, they definitely would not know the fact that it was exactly 50 years ago last week when, as a 13-year-old growing up in Buffalo, I was glued to the evening news. And it was easy because there were only 3 stations. You turn between 3 stations. Can you imagine? And the news was captivating. What I saw was not far from my home in a place called Attica, a sleepy little town. The world looked like it was on fire. It was exploding. And all the eyes of the world were watching this one place. And as a young person who grew up in a very socially conscious household, we talked about this at the dinner table and what was going on there and what this meant and how this could have happened in that day and age 50 years ago. A lot of questions are raised. How did it happen? How did people not foresee this? How was it not prevented? The violence, the death, the destruction that occurred over that time. And I think about the fact that similar to back then, maybe they didn't have notice, but today we do. It's a volatile situation that we have in one of our jails in the city of New York, in Rikers Island. But also I have hope because I know that there's people who are longtime champions of doing what's right. And I also witnessed that as a teenager, a couple years after I watched this all on television. I became an intern in high school for the local ACLU. And in that capacity, and don't tell my parents this, I skipped school a few times, took the bus, an hour bus ride down the city of Buffalo, and went into a very foreboding courtroom. But I knew I wanted to sit there and witness history. And I watched the Attica trials, and I heard the stories come forth. So to me, it was more than watching on television. I saw people's faces, and I heard what went on in those horrific, horrific circumstances. And I am steeled in the resolve that that should not have happened 50 years ago, and it sure as hell shouldn't be happening 50 years later in 2021. So what are we going to do about it? Well, I've been very focused on this, and I want to thank my incredible team, the executive chamber staff, and everyone who's been putting in countless hours to help us unpeel this situation and find out what we can do for a facility that is, no, not run by the state of New York. That's very obvious. It's a city-run facility. But when there's cries for help, it's very hard to just walk away and pretend you don't hear them. And these advocates know what I'm talking about. To see this, to hear this, to witness this. One says, how does this hell on earth exist today? And I also believe that what today is about is protecting human life. The lives of the people who are incarcerated, as well as the corrections officers. It's about protecting human rights, the right to work in a safe environment, the right to live and exist in an environment that is clean, hygienic, and above all, safe. It's also about protecting human dignity. Again, this questions who we are as a people when we can allow situations as we've seen in Rikers exist in a prosperous, mighty city like New York.